Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you both for your testimony today and being here. I'm from South Dakota, so it's a landlocked state, so I don't hear a lot from my constituents about national oceanic policy. So Chairwoman Sutley, while you're here today, there is something that I hear a lot about from people in South Dakota, so I'd like to go off topic a little bit and just address this and have you answer a few questions for me. You know, the issue is the mountain pine beetle epidemic that we're facing in the Black Hills National Forest in South Dakota. We have been bogged down with the NEPA process, and it has tied our hands to how we can address this epidemic that's sweeping across our hills. It can take over a year for the Forest Service to get through the process and try to do logging ahead of these beetles. As you know, I sent you and Chief Tidwell a letter requesting for a process that is granted to you by Congress for alternative arrangements. Which I was disappointed that it took 2 months to hear back from you on that. And when I did hear back from you, it was not to grant us the alternative arrangements that we need to truly stop this devastation of our way of life in western South Dakota. I speak on behalf of hundreds of thousands of South Dakotans and people who visit the Black Hills, and I'm very disappointed by the response that we've gotten. I was given a list of the number of the total alternative arrangements that have been granted since the NEPA process was put into place, and since 1980 there have been 41 different instances where that was granted. To give you an idea, President Reagan granted 14, President Clinton granted 9, and George Bush granted 8. Chairwoman Sutley, do you know how many President Obama has granted?
I believe 1.
He's granted 0. So this is a process that was given to him that he could utilize in extreme situations for alternative arrangements. And they're not utilizing their authority within this administration to address emergencies that we're facing in the Black Hills. So communities now in the hills are faced with the threats of fire. Every time it rains and there's lightning, they're very concerned that their entire community will go up in smoke and that lives will be at risk. And environmental integrity and quality are also at stake. I'd like to ask you a couple of questions. When I look at the website, on the Office of the President's website, it says alternative arrangements can be issued when action is, the first reason, is necessary to protect human health or safety, or to protect natural resources, and 2, likely to result in significant environmental impacts. I was wondering if you would take the time to go back and to get me answers to why we do not qualify under those bullet points in the Black Hills to get the alternative arrangements that we need truly to get ahead of this epidemic that we're facing in the Black Hills.
Thank you, Congressman. I appreciate the concern, and first of all, apologies for the delay in responding to you. We'll be happy to go back and take a look at that. I do think that it's important. I think we have been in discussions with the Forest Service, and my understanding is that they are very well aware of the problems here and prioritizing the response to the bark beetle and shifting resources to ensure that they're adequately responding to the outbreaks. We recognize this is a very significant problem, and we continue to work with the Forest Service, and we'll be happy to follow up with you.
That'd be great, and I'd like you to reconsider the decision on the alternative arrangements. Resources is always a concern, but frankly, what's stopping us and causing us to lose this battle is the NEPA process. And alternative arrangements would give us the leeway we need not to ignore the process, but to have a quicker process so that we could get ahead of these beetles before they fly again next summer.
Thank you. We think NEPA is an important process for understanding the environmental impacts of federal actions, and don't think that it needs to get in the way of important actions, and we'll continue to work with the Forest Service on that, and we'll be happy to follow you up with that.
That'd be great, because at this point, really in South Dakota and all across this country, we've seen the same situation. If this administration doesn't utilize the authority that Congress has given them, we may take congressional action in this area. So thank you for being here.